Hi, and welcome back to the Braver by the Day podcast. Josh here. Today I'm joined by Cari Cole, who is a professional vocal coach from New York in the United States. Today was a very special episode because not only was Cari a great guest, but she also rescued my voice pretty much live on the call. It was really, really early in the morning. I hadn't spoken to anyone before I got on the call with her, and my voice completely died. So you'll notice for probably about the first 10 to 15 minutes, my voice was really, really dodgy, and I apologize for that, but I decided to not edit this file at all, just leave it all as is, just to show you guys that even some of the simple tips that Cari gave me over a Skype call really, really helped my voice. Maybe for about the last 5 minutes, my voice had really started to come good and felt a lot healthier and even sounded better. So I've tried to just leave the file as untouched as possible just to show you guys that what she's talking about really does work. So we'll jump in with Cari now. And just quickly for today's show notes, braverbytheday.com/19. That's braverbytheday.com/19. And we'll jump in now. Hi everyone, I'm here with Cari Cole from Cari Cole Voice and Music Co. and caricole.com. I actually heard about Cari on the Music Biz Weekly podcast a few years ago. She is a professional vocal and singing coach, and I'm sure she'll tell us all a little bit more about what she does day to day in the next few minutes. And I just wanted to start off today by stealing a little bit of Cari's thunder, and that's letting everyone know for my show, Braver by the Day, her tagline, and that's to find your voice. Find your voice, that's a good one. Find your voice, build your brand, and change the world, which is very much in line with a lot of the people that are listening to my show. So that's awesome, Cari. I just wanted to get that out of the way early in case I forgot that I really, really gravitated to your tagline there. So maybe we can expand upon that a little bit more. But awesome. If you just wanted to tell us more about yourself, hopefully we'll get into how you can help me with my own voice. Being super early here, I don't really have one this morning. So as you just heard, so...
Thanks so much, Josh. I really appreciate you reaching out. It's an honor to be here with you. And that's funny. When you first wake up, sometimes especially the voice is maybe not hydrated or not used. It's funny. I spoke to my husband the other day, and he had been working all day and not talking to anyone, and his voice started cracking. He said, "Oh, it's the first time I've spoken out loud today." So
yeah, I'm very much in that camp myself this morning. So
yes. So I'm a vocal coach primarily. That's been what I've been doing in New York City for the past 25 years or so. And you worked with a bunch of celebrities and some Grammy winners and American Idol voice finalists and people like that. And then thousands and thousands of emerging artists. And so over that time period, as I was working on the voice, I really realized, and I'm very much specialized in natural vocal care and coming out with a book in the spring, and we'll probably talk a little bit about that. But as I started working with the voice with artists, I started realizing, it's not just about having the most amazing voice in the room, especially being a contemporary artist. It's about having the most distinctive. And as an artist myself, it kind of led me, I was going through my own journey with that and put out a record quite a bit later than most, when I was 40, that achieved some critical acclaim and success, much to my surprise, much later than I would have expected. But as I went on this journey with other artists, I started noticing how it's not just the voice, and it's that those distinctive qualities, and it kind of led me more into the artist development world and the A&R world, which now is a really important role for artists to have, because it's kind of disappeared with the decline of record sales and labels not being as prevalent as they were before. So, and then I kind of morphed into, as well, carrying all of those with me, started working with artists on their careers and being a mentor for them, helping them find their own voice and find their authentic voice, the branding coming from who they really are, instead of applying a brand to somebody, and helping them be successful and really step up and be a leader in their field as an artist or as an entrepreneur.
That's a fantastic answer there. Just for the listener, how many different industries exactly are you working in now? Because I know that from what you said there, you're focusing a lot on the more creative side of vocal-based industries, whether it's singing or theatre or performance and those sorts of things.
Yes.
A lot of the people that might be listening today might have their own podcast going, or they might be looking to live speak or in internet broadcasting, or they might be just in bands, or even just, people who want to speak with more authority day to day. How many people are you dealing with now that you've grown your own brand so much?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, we are just really opening up the brand to the public more in the spring, and this is just kind of in the earlier stages. But I've been doing this for a while, sort of under the radars. People would come to me as, well-known entrepreneurs who needed help with their voices, speaking on stage and that kind of thing. So it's just kind of naturally happened. So I'm working with singers and bands and musicians, always. That's kind of my core audience. And then found myself working with public speakers, with entrepreneurs who had to take the stage, with actors always. I was always kind of working with actors as well who had to sing for parts and that kind of thing. And then coaches, coaches themselves who are using their voice, anyone who's using their voice for their profession, basically, or wants to experience more health with their voice and how they use their voice.
Fantastic. And that's probably what we'll start to dive into now, because we don't have that long with Cari today. So sure. I do want to dive into maybe some of the more tactical day-to-day things that someone who is losing their voice, like me this morning, or a professional or someone who is either performing or broadcasting in some form can do, so that they actually have a lot more faith and trust in their voice. Because I know from being in two bands for the better part of 20 years that it's different amounts of stress and anxiety go into the trust that people have in their voice as opposed to maybe their playing ability on an instrument. It just seems to be more intrinsic to singers and to people who vocalize that their voice might give out on them, or they're not feeling 100% or anything like that. Do you reckon we could just start by maybe talking to that psychology behind why people maybe don't trust their voice like they do other skills? Is there something there, or am I just imagining that one?
Oh, no. You're not imagining that at all. It's very real, actually. Hopefully that will bring some relief. But no, it's one of the things about the voice is that it's so mysterious because it's an instrument that really lives inside the body. And I often say, singers in particular are athletes of the small muscles of the voice. Public speakers are maybe it's not as athletic, but you have to know how to use the voice, especially if you're speaking on a regular basis, over and over again. What happens is the laryngeal muscles, you're overusing those muscles and they tend to get pushed up. So one of the things I teach, and I'm actually coming out with a product later this fall called the Vocal Rescue Kit. And this is my first product that opens it up to public speakers and coaches and not just singers. And there'll be a whole section on speaking and how to find the right placement and how to correct problems like nasality or throat tension. And so you can look for that in the late fall. But basically, the laryngeal muscles get pushed up too high when you overuse the voice, and especially if you're speaking loudly from the stage, or if you're talking on the phone, constantly throughout the day, which is one of the problems, or you're doing an interview like we're doing right now, and the tendency is you tend to think you have to yell or you have to project, especially if you're on a desktop and it's a little farther away from you. And all of that causes the laryngeal muscles to kind of rise up. So one of the first things that you can do is just do a gentle yawn. And as you're yawning, sort of pull that throat cavity down a little bit. It's like you're gently massaging it. Like if you were to hold a banana, imagine your throat's like a banana and you're just holding the banana on either side, and you take a yawn and you're just sort of, pulling your fingers down the sides of the banana, in other words. So the yawn is happening and you're yawning in the back of your throat, not so much with the front of your throat. And you're really just trying to get those muscles to descend and sort of massage them down. And that really makes a huge difference. It's oftentimes public speakers, singers are maybe a little bit more aware of it, even though most of them I still have to enlighten them on it because this kind of conversation doesn't go on very often, and I'm kind of specialized in that area. But it's often a physical muscular situation is the first thing that you want to address, and that also includes massage. Get someone to massage your shoulders and that kind of thing. And then I can keep rambling. You want me to keep going?
I'll just jump in there.
Okay.
It's kind of turned out funny that I don't have the most healthy voice today, because I'm actually going to try out some of these things as you're saying them.
Exactly.
And I was just doing the yawn massage or the yawn banana. I don't know what we want to call that,
Yes,
but I'm
yes.
sure you have a technical term for it. But yeah, it seems to have loosened my throat up just trying it out as you were talking about it. So I don't know if I sound any different to you now, but
you actually sound deeper.
that's good.
Yeah, it sounds like your throat's more open.
Fantastic. So for anyone who has listened so far through my terrible voice thus far in the interview, they're probably going to get some gold out of this. So
There you go. And I never use that banana reference. I don't know why I did. It just popped in. But I call it the larynx pull down.
okay.
So you're really just kind of pulling the laryngeal muscles down, the throat cavity down. And for guys, it's your Adam's apple. You just gently on the sides pulling it down, yeah. And then the next thing is, there's a couple things. There's many things, but the main things are, hydration and water. It's no joke, actually. It's the vocal muscles are comprised of, 88% water. And if you looked at a highly magnified picture of the vocal folds while someone is speaking, and particularly while they're singing, there you see little beads of water on top of the cords, and they dance while you're singing or speaking. And if that water is not there, your cords are chafed and irritated. So you go to use them, you can crack really easily, kind of like you were doing in the beginning of the conversation. So, what I do is there's a really cool water app, and now I'm not remembering the name of it, but it's a water app where you can swipe, how many glasses of water. It just helps you keep track. But what I do is I have 2 glasses, kind of over the first hour when I'm awake. Then I have a glass mid-afternoon or mid-morning, a glass before lunch, not during, because you should drink water not during lunch because it dilutes the digestive juices and then you can have a problem with digesting. So, and then mid-afternoon, and then before dinner, and then one, like an hour after dinner. And there you're getting 8 glasses. And it makes an unbelievable, huge difference in the voice.
Fantastic. That really segues well into one of the questions we were going to approach today. And that you've touched on a few of them already, and that's that there are some universal truths to looking after the voice and preparing the voice with water and taking care of yourself and not eating and drinking water at the exact same time, those types of things. Are there any vocal care myths that you've heard propagated out in the world of singing coaches that you actually have found in your own experience just don't hold true in the real world? Is there anything out there that you think's maybe destructive to people that are looking to take care of their voice?
That was a hard one for me to kind of answer. There's a couple products that I don't love so much. I shouldn't probably say them, but Vocal Zone. Vocal Zone is not my favorite. And I'm very much into natural products, and we're going to be coming out with a vocal health kit for everyone in the early part of next year, along with my book. But and you'll find information about remedies all through my blogs and that kind of thing. And I can mention more if you like. But the things that it was hard for me to think of, like, you want to ask me something that you think you're unsure of?
For example, I know with one of our singers that he spends a great deal of time before shows doing these funny baby noises for ages and making funny mouth movements. He tends to talk on the phone all day and talk a lot at work. Is there kind of would he be better off just not?
Well, what he's probably trying to do, what he's trying to do is he's trying to get the voice to the placement to lift back up again. I don't use those funny noises. I guess for some people it works for them. I don't find that they're helpful. I talk much more about position and have other ways to get the voice to alleviate tension. And so if he's talking all day on the phone, he's probably feeling a tightness and his voice is probably dropped down too much. When you're speaking, you don't want to speak too low, and you don't want to speak monotone on the same tone. That's what makes the voice tired very quickly. So if you notice when I'm speaking, my voice pitch is moving up and down a lot. Like I'm Canadian a little bit. Like the ends of my sentences are going up a little, and that's more healthy than going down, right? Because that puts more pressure on and wears the voice out quicker. So the baby noises thing, I don't know. It works for some people. I don't use it in my practice. I'm not a big proponent of it. I don't, you don't talk like that. So I don't use funny noises or funny positions.
That's awesome. We might have just uncovered a small myth in there, and that's that. I know a lot of people, when I actually put today's episode together basically for the people who have their own podcasts that are listening at the moment, because this is more of a personal episode for me, and there's those health tips in there. A lot of people that are trying to make a point, whether it's public speaking or on a podcast or internet broadcasting, they like to drop that really low, heavy word at the end of a sentence. I don't know whether that's for emphasis.
Yes.
For what you're saying, it's actually probably something that's going to get you to a place of feeling tired and worn out quicker if you're really trying to emphasize that heavy drop at the end of a sentence. Is that kind of...
Yeah, I mean, I think, and guys probably tend to do it more, guys for more authority. And some women do too. They drop their pitch down. If you're dropping it at the end of the sentence, it's not that big a deal. But if you find that it's bothering you, make a change. I think it's more when you're sort of sitting down there and you're talking kind of at that same pitch over and over and over again, like I'm doing right now, and sounds weird, right? But it's like it's putting too much pressure. And most people talk a little bit lower than their natural speaking range. And in the Vocal Rescue Kit, I walk you through how to find your natural speaking range, but it's probably a little bit higher than you think it is. And this is a little more complex, but I'll throw it in there for those of you who want to try it. The pitch at which you whisper is your more natural speaking pitch. And it's a little hard to find, but you can use this little tool. What you do is you whisper QX. So you go QX, 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 and try to find the pitch, hear the pitch and notice how that was a little higher than I'm kind of speaking, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's a way, if you can hear the pitch in the whisper, or someone else can help you hear the pitch in the whisper, to find kind of where your voice would naturally sit without the extra pressure that's going to cause the tension that's going to lead to burnout.
Right, that's fantastic. I mean, I might go away and try that. And hopefully everyone can come back to that section of the interview and maybe try that along with you. So is that... I don't want you to give away too many of your great secrets. Obviously, you've got the product in the book and you're a professional and all that stuff. But yeah, I really appreciate that you're actually giving us some really practical stuff to use. So I do appreciate that. That might
Absolutely
push us forward a little bit into one of the other things that I asked Cari maybe we could approach. And as I said earlier, it is really applicable today. And that's, if I was to come to you with a blown out speaking voice, aka exactly what my voice sounds like today, how would you suggest that I get myself back on track? Obviously, we can't do much about it now, but going forward into the day, just say I had to record more today, or I had a speaking gig on, or I had a job interview, or anything that may be applicable where you want your voice to hold out. Is there a go-to method that I could take away from the call today?
Sure. I mean, I would start with massage. I mean, the massaging the neck and the shoulders. So if you can get someone to just sort of rigorously massage, you can also use a tiger balm or some kind of muscle balm that'll relax those muscles. I mean, it's no small thing. It actually makes a huge difference. I remember I learned it when I was 19 and I was at a gig and I was having that problem. My voice was cracking, breaking. And I didn't know what the heck was going on. I called my vocal coach almost in tears. And she said, get someone to massage your neck and shoulders, eat some melon, like cantaloupe, and drink water and tea, non-caffeinated tea if you can. And I did all those things and I made it through the set. And at that time I was singing in a cover band. So I had to sing 4 or 5 hour set. So that's no joke. Those simple things. The melon actually hydrates the throat muscles, because sometimes it's not your vocal cords, it's all the muscles surrounding, and it's in your pharynx and your throat where things are kind of catching. And the melon has bigger molecules than water does, so it will hydrate and sit in those muscles more. And you can actually put little cubes of melon in your water, which helps you hydrate more. There was a study done here in New York by NYU for Elton John and Eric Clapton, and they were doing oh, this isn't the melon story, but this is another little tip. They were doing a study about how to keep singers hydrated on tour because it was a real problem. And it was to help them from, losing their voices, because we have so many singers losing their voices on tour. It's just phenomenal. And it's one of the reasons why I'm writing this book and getting it out there, is to help make a change, because so many more artists have to be on tour to make money now because with the decline of record sales. So that's just in the music industry. But they did this study about how to keep singers more hydrated. And they discovered that if you drink water from a straw, that the water will, in other words, how the water comes in, it's going to go out. So if you're gulping a whole bottle of water, you're going to have to pee the whole bottle of water, or the majority of the bottle of water. Like, it's going to come out quickly. If you sip the water, it's going to stay in your body more and hydrate more.
Wow, that's a pretty cool study. So basically the takeaway there is that even in the preparation for leading up to doing something where you have to count on your voice, you're better off slowly sipping the water intake over maybe a longer period, instead of just thinking, oh God, I've got a job interview and my voice is broken, or I have to go sing a gig, or I've got to go speak in public, and just gulping 2 bottles of water. Because A, it's not going to last long, and B, you're probably going to need to end up in the toilet halfway through, which is another whole bunch of anxiety, I guess. But
exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. So we might just dive, now that you've given us so many cool things to think about, and I don't want to overload people too much, because if they've come in today with thinking, oh, I'd like to know a little bit about Cari and some things to look after my voice, and now we've given them all these amazing ideas, and I'm going to implement a lot of those myself. I tend to scull a lot of water if I'm running late and then jump on an interview or something, so that's probably not working. So thanks for that. That's good for me.
Absolutely. And you're also not hydrated. When you're drinking that water so quickly like that, it hasn't had a chance to really hydrate and get back to your vocal cords. So you might be moisturizing the throat a little bit, but you're not really getting to the vocal cords anyway. So you need to do it more ahead of time.
Cool. Awesome. Excellent. So we might just talk a little bit more about, as you said, your book, because I don't want you to miss out today on giving us all the great info about that product and what you're up to with the book, and maybe if you wanted to tell us again where we can find you online. And then I've got one last question that I ask everybody.
Okay.
Maybe just quickly though, one last thing I've just remembered. I've been suffering a little bit from sibilant S's, and I know that a lot of people online lately have said, okay, I know how to get rid of the popping sound. I've either got a pop filter or a good quality windscreen, on my microphone. How do I deal with that sibilant S sound? Because I know a lot of people, and there is a certain type of microphone that a lot of internet broadcasters use that is very susceptible to the sibilant S sound if you naturally have that in your voice. Is there any way to avoid that sound, or to train that maybe out of your voice? Because I know I suffer from it quite badly, and I actually worry about it coming out a lot.
Yeah, you might be more worried about it than you need to be. It's, it's like when you start to microfocus on something, all of a sudden it seems really loud and blown up. I have a little bit of a sibilant S, but use a de-esser when you're mixing. Use a de-esser. It's an actual software that you can run. A
de-esser, as in the letter S.
Yeah, D, and then D as in dog, and then SS. S as in Sam. Esser. De-esser. We use it in Pro Tools. It's a plugin, so I'm sure you could get it in GarageBand or whatever software you're using. But also, it's an issue with the tongue, so I would just focus on relaxing the tongue a little bit, maybe doing some tongue stretches before your interview. There's a simple lion stretch in yoga practice where you just stick your tongue out and down, point it down towards the floor as much as you can, and your eyes look up. So your tongue is going down and your eyes look up, and that kind of stretches out the tongue, and that'll help.
Thanks for that. I might just try that one out going forward when I'm doing future podcasts and recordings, and even in the studio with the band and everything. We'll give that one a go, and I'll let you know how that turns out for us. Just moving on, getting back to your stuff with the book and the product and what you're up to in the future, and then maybe you can just let us know again where we can find you online, and then we'll say goodbye.
Absolutely. So the book is slated to come out on Voice Day, April 16th in 2014. And it's a physical, mental, and spiritual guide to vocal health, a complete holistic guide to keeping your voice healthy, and all my remedies for fixing your voice and vocal health, and how not to shred your vocal cords and all that. And so we're excited about that. We're starting a public awareness campaign in early next year called Save the Voices. And we will be talking about all of, what the contents of the book and kind of giving some promo about that and previews about that. And you can find me at caricole.com, CARICOLE.com. And we actually have a free series there when you opt in. It's called The Vocal Road Warrior, and it is how to keep your voice healthy and fit, how not to shred your cords, discover the best remedies, holistic remedies, and keep your voice healthy on and off tour or on and off the stage or on and off the podcast.
Awesome. Thanks for throwing that one in there. So that's great. And just I try to give every guest the chance to maybe plug themselves a little bit as well if they don't tend to do that. And that's, do you have any kind of any way that my community can support that project beforehand? Is there going to be a pre-sale for the book, or do you have a Kickstarter planned, or is there any way that my community that does get a lot out of that product eventually, and I mean, sure they have today. I mean, I would probably go away today and put some money towards something if that's going to help you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be doing the Vocal Rescue Kit. That product will be available in probably October, end of October, so you can purchase that. And then I think we're doing a Kickstarter in January. We're just putting the touches on all that, the marketing schedule right now, but in the early part of the year. And the Save the Voices campaign is going to be a great thing to be a part of, which is a free public awareness campaign. So the more support there, the better, and getting the word out to people would be so appreciated. And you'll find out the information when we do a Kickstarter. We will be doing something for the book in the early part of the year. I appreciate that.
That's fine. I'll share your information as it comes out going forward with my community. So just to tackle that very last question there, Cari, before we say goodbye, and that's the one that I ask every guest that I've had, and I pull a little quotation, and inspired by a quotation from each guest out, and I kind of use that to promote the show. So, and that is, when dealing with an artist, because they're particularly suffer from anxiety, I know that from being in bands, that it's an anxiety-ridden industry at times. So
Yes.
How do you help your clients or yourself as an artist in the past deal with the fear of failure? Because I think it's probably the most prevalent thing in creative industries is people that would rather just not try and not fail than actually put themselves out there in the world and maybe fall flat on their face. And I think it might be even a harder thing to deal with for singers because, as you said, it's coming from the body and from more internal. So do you find that people suffer from fear of failure, and how do you help them to get past that and really, share their voice with the world, sort of thing?
Absolutely. This is a huge issue across all platforms, whether you're a singer or an author or a public speaker. I mean, the fear of speaking on stage is one of the number one fears that exist. And generally, creative people are, they're more sensitive than others, and that's why they're more inclined to be artists, because they can see and hear what others might miss, and they're more sensitive. So they're more sensitive to their own self, and they also know what it is they have to do to pull it off. That's why a lot of big stars suffer from stage fright. Because they have to go back out there and do it again and do it again and do it again and keep topping themselves. So I do a lot of mindset work to teach artists and entrepreneurs how to deal with their minds that run away with them. And there are deeper issues with people being fragmented, with parts of their psyche that have kind of split off that they're not okay with. So we work on unifying and teaching people how to be more whole in their internal landscape. And I have a program called Mind Over Music. And right now it's mostly for musicians and creative types who really want to get control of the inner dialogue that's happening in the brain, and start to change some of those neural pathways.
Cool. So you think that it actually all starts from that mindset level, and that translates into maybe the physical execution for a speaker?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that. I'll make sure that I link up everything Cari has in the show notes for today, which will be braverbytheday.com/19. So that's braverbytheday.com/19. I'll have all of Cari's recent products, and hopefully I'll be able to dig up some more information on, was it Save the Voice? Was that?
Save the Voices. Yeah, we haven't launched that yet, but you'll find that we'll have a page on our website in the next couple of months. It's not up yet.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll just update the show notes going forward because, I mean, it could be the middle of next year or 2 years from now when people are hearing this. So
yes.
I just wanted to say a massive thank you to Cari. My voice has actually finally started to feel like it's coming good in the last about 30 seconds. So for anyone who has listened through, I think that you've noticed that what Cari's saying is just, it's easy to understand too, and I find that when I looked up other vocal coaches and programs, it seems like a lot of smoke and mirrors, and there's not much point A to point B kind of, this is actually how you do it. It's kind of just, I don't know, so I can definitely endorse what you're doing because I've listened to a lot of your interviews and everything. So I just wanted to say thanks for being on the call and thanks for rescuing my voice potentially for the day.
Oh, thank you so much for that nice ending. I strive to give people the actual how to. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me.
That's fine. Okay. I'll see you later.
Okay. Take care, Joshua.